Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Japan's suicide forest and why so many people flock to this specific forest to take their own lives. But first, let's talk about where exactly in Japan this is located. It's located on the island of Honshu, Japan. The vast Akigahara forest is located under Mount Fuji. The second name for the forest is Jukayu, which translates to Sea of Trees in English. According to National Geographic, the forest has grown over lava from a major eruption in the 9th century. The lava is porous, which causes sounds to be absorbed very easy, creating a very quiet, ominous feel throughout the forest. According to National Geographic, hikers often get lost because the high iron content in the ground interferes with cell phone and GPS services. The ground is also very hard, making it difficult for hikers to use hiking poles while they're hiking throughout the forest. Other than hikers accidentally dying due to being lost in the forest, the number one reason for the deaths in this forest are people that purposely go there to take their own lives. With a place as beautiful as this, you may be wondering why so many people flock specifically here to commit suicide. Unfortunately, this book has a lot to do with it. This is a complete suicide manual by Wataru Tsunari, and it's often found by the deceased bodies in Japan's suicide forest, according to James Estrin with the New York Times. This book goes over exactly how to kill yourself, and it also lists the Akigahara forest as the perfect place to die. Unfortunately, this attracted many Japanese to this forest to specifically take their own lives. According to the Alaska Highway News, Japan's suicide rates are high due to being overworked and underpaid, resulting in 214,600 bankruptcies in 2002 alone. Because of the culture in Japan, having debt is a cultural shame, often leading people to commit suicide. It's unclear how many people commit suicide each year in Japan, but according to James Estrin with the New York Times, on average, someone in Japan dies every 15 minutes by suicide. According to Larissa McFarquhar with the New Yorker, Buddhist monks visit the Akigahara forest because it is such a popular place to die. They offer suicide workshops where they basically take the suicidal people to their temple and offer ways of healing them. This is a sign at the entrance of the suicide forest that states, "Life is a precious thing given to you by your parents. Think again calmly about your parents, siblings, and children. Don't worry alone. First talk to us." And here it has a hotline for suicide. According to James Estrin with the New York Times, Japan's suicide forest is the most popular place to take your life in Japan, and the second most popular place to take your life in the world, with the Golden Gate Bridge being the number one place to take your life in the world. Warning, the pictures that you're about to see could be disturbing for some. Here we have some shoes that were found in the forest, in the suicide forest of the deceased. This is a scene that you'll often find in the forest, unfortunately, along with wallets and campsites and things like that. Also, the most popular way that the Japanese kill themselves in this forest is by hanging. It's very common to actually see ropes hanging from the trees if you wander off the trails. This is a picture of the forest itself in the daylight. You can see how treacherous it would be to try to get through this forest. You can tell that the moss is overgrown on the lava, and just making it a very eerie looking forest. Here, this is a common thing you'll also see throughout the forest. It's basically a no entry because this specific area is a very popular place in the forest for people to kill themselves, and they mark it off so people try not to go in there. According to Chris Baines with London Independent Digital News and Media, Kyoki Wanabai plays music at the entrance of the forest to uplift the hope of those who come to commit suicide. This man is known as the gatekeeper of the Kigahara forest. He often will play his guitar outside the forest. He feels that music uplifts the soul. He also has been known to try to talk to people and talk them out of suicide, and he's actually saved a few people from committing suicide and told them to go back to where they came from. Mental health is a problem throughout our world. Though according to Kiraki Yasharu, suicide rates are twice as high among males and 3 times as high among females than in the United States. I believe it's very important to shed a light on the places to die, like the book The Complete Manual of Suicide does. We shouldn't be shedding light on these types of places at all. If anything, it just encourages people to take their own life and tells you where to do it, thus making people go to the suicide forest specifically to take their own life. As long as the Kigahara forest is glamorized, I feel that the suicide rates will not drop in Japan. We should not be glamorizing things like suicide ever, especially in a book with detailed ways of how to die and where's the perfect place to die. And remember that there is always suicide helplines throughout all parts of the world.